Sonia Shah, Pandemic, Tracking Contagions, from Cholera to Ebola and Beyond. Dive into Pandemic, Tracking Contagions, from Cholera to Ebola and Beyond, where Sonia Shah outlines how human expansion and modernization have led to the evolution and spread of infectious diseases. This book summary explores our unwitting contributions to outbreaks, including urbanization, deforestation, and waste management. Discover how microbes have adapted to modern transportation, enabling the lightning-fast spread of diseases across the globe. Reflect on the impact of historical mistakes in public health systems and how current practices are still inadequate. Finally, understand the need to look beyond the obvious to improve detection and prevention of pandemics.
Human expansion and the emergence of new epidemics. As humans expand into new territories and come into contact with different organisms, we run the risk of creating new epidemics. This has been seen in instances such as the Sundarbans, where deforestation led to widespread cholera, and the Guangzhou wet market, where SARS emerged. This continuous exposure allows pathogens to adapt to humans and become highly infectious. The next part of the book explores the global impact of these epidemics. The dark side of progress. The evolution of transportation systems has not only revolutionized human mobility but has also provided germs an easier and quicker way to travel and spread infections. The development of various transportation forms, such as air travel, has allowed pathogens to cross borders and spread across multiple continents. The story of cholera exemplifies how transportation facilitated the spread of diseases across vast distances. However, transportation isn't the only factor. Our poor waste management system also contributes to the spread of infectious bacteria. The dirty truth about waste. A historical and contemporary account of how poor sanitation led to cholera epidemics and how industrial farms continue to pose a risk to public health through contaminated produce. In the 18th and 19th centuries, poor sanitation and hygiene led to conditions perfect for cholera epidemics. New York City was particularly affected due to the prevalence of human waste on sidewalks and alleyways, and the flooding in marshlands turned housing developments which carried feces and germ-infested water into drinking wells. Though Western countries now have more efficient systems to manage human waste, large-scale industrial farms still pose a significant risk to public health. These farms produce vast quantities of animal waste which can contaminate the air, soil, and water, promoting the growth of pathogens. Even if you don't live near a farm, manure and contaminated water can impact the produce sold in your local supermarket. A 2011 outbreak of bloody diarrhea in Germany was linked to contaminated fenugreek sprouts from Egypt which were infected with a Shiga toxin-producing strain of E. coli. As such, poor waste management continues to be a threat to public health. Disease spreads fast in crowded cities. Crowded cities are a breeding ground for disease outbreaks. The increase in population leads to people living in deplorable conditions, which leads to rapid transmission of germs, making it harder to contain epidemics. Large crowds offer three advantages to pathogens in that they can spread quickly through social contact, survive longer in large crowds, and be aggressive and quickly sicken and kill the infected. It's not just cities, but corrupt politics can also offer an advantage in the spread of disease. Corrupt politics and contaminated water. The history of cholera outbreaks in New York City highlights the disastrous effects of corrupt politics on public health. In the late 1700s, Manhattan's insufficient fresh water supply led to devastating fires that could not be extinguished. Dr. Joseph Brown and engineer William Weston proposed the construction of an effective waterworks, but State Senator Aaron Burr sabotaged their plan to build a waterworks himself, with the intention of also creating a new bank. Burr's deceptive plan was approved, and he raised $2 million from investors, but only invested a small fraction of it into the waterworks, resulting in contaminated drinking water for over 50 years and contributing to the deadly cholera outbreaks of 1832 and 1849. This pattern of political corruption continues to enable epidemics, exemplified by the Chinese government's cover-up of the SARS outbreak in 2002 and 2003. Beyond Hippocratic teachings. In the 19th century, the medical establishment disregarded effective cholera treatment, which didn't align with Hippocratic teachings. With our reductionist paradigm, doctors continue to overlook the larger context and rely on a singular cause, leading to missed connections and potential outbreaks. Looking beyond the obvious is key to prevention. Overcoming the fear of exotic diseases. The world's reaction to the Ebola outbreak of 2014 was excessive and irrational, as it caused widespread panic and fear. While it is essential to remain vigilant and cautious, it is equally important to recognize that common pathogens like Lyme disease pose greater dangers. This harmful disease has infected more than 250,000 people in the United States alone, causing severe and long-lasting symptoms, including suicidal thoughts, chronic pain, and paralysis. Despite the risks, people remain indifferent to protecting themselves against the ticks that transmit the disease. The fear of exotic diseases clouds our understanding of real threats and makes them more dangerous.
With humanity's rapid expansion and urbanization, we have inadvertently created a breeding ground for outbreaks and pathogen adaptation. As we have seen with diseases like cholera, SARS, and Ebola, our modern transportation systems facilitate the swift transmission of contagions. Insufficient public health systems and waste management practices exacerbate the problem. The importance of moving away from a reductionist approach in combating disease outbreaks must be acknowledged. Additionally, we must become more aware of existing threats in our environment rather than fixating on sensationalized new pathogens. By comprehending these insights, we can develop better strategies to prevent and combat pandemics.